guys were on the Eddie Wilson call last night. Can you drop a quick one in the chat for me so I know who's tuning in on in back-to-back calls? Let's go. Awesome. We have a very, very special guest here. We got the president of Prime Corporate Services, my good friend Tommy Thornberg, and I feel like we've just developed a great relationship over the last couple months since the inception of School Mentors, and really appreciate you and Weston coming on to help drop some game on business taxes and entities for us, Tommy.
For sure. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's always great seeing you. When these guys came out to the office, it was just such an easy fit for what you guys are all going through and what you're doing. And I'm not the most exciting guest. I can tell you that right now, because I'm here to talk to you about the boring stuff, and that's entities and tax and business credit. It is one of the most important components of any business, though. And I truly believe that if you can have a solid foundation, and whether you're pre-revenue or post-revenue, understanding how to keep more money in your corner, I am a firm believer that if you show up to calls like these, you will do more with your money than giving it to good old Uncle Sam. And that's my goal over the next hour, is to give you a bunch of game and a bunch of takeaways on how you can keep thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars in your corner before the end of the year. So we good? Should we jump into it? Cool.
Let's do it.
All right, very good. Let's do this. I've got a little slide deck that I'm going to go through here. Feel free to ask questions in the chat. Feel free to put any input in the chat. I will leave a little bit of time as well towards the end to try and answer some questions also. But I'll just kind of jump right into it here. Like you said, my name's Tommy Thornberg. I'm the president of Prime Corporate Services. And I think just based off of the School of Mentors, School of Hard Knocks, and what you guys have created over there, I think it's fun for everyone to kind of know what our journey has been. We started Prime Corporate in 2012. And in 2012, we became a client today. Welcome to the squad. Reach out anytime. You call, you email. We are here to help. I mean it. That's awesome, though. I love it. We started in 2012. And Steve Harwood's the CEO. I'm the president. We had two other people. And fast forward to where we are today, we have helped structure over 150,000 businesses. Sounds like 151,000 now, probably, after the end of the day here. Thank you for that. And we focus on 4 areas: entity structure, business credit development. We're currently getting over $4 million a month for our clients in business credit and corporate funding. It's amazing. We've got a full service tax company, bookkeepers, monthly, quarterly, annual filings. And we also do estate planning as well: trust, wills, living wills, power of attorneys. We currently have about 350 employees if we combine the two between tax and Prime. But the whole purpose of Prime Corporate is to help startup entrepreneurs. That's how we began this whole journey, is helping people start eBay businesses. I don't know if anyone's heard of eBay, small little company. And then we did a lot of Amazon stores, a lot of real estate investors. And every year we tend to get in these different industries to where at this point, I feel like we do everything but farms. So if you own a farm, I don't know if I could be much help. So the goal here, it's not what you make, it's what you keep. And a lot of my messaging will be, when you have a W-2, you go to work, they take taxes out of your check, they give you what's left, and you pay your bills, you invest, whatever else, right? The beauty of being self-employed: you go generate your own income. You go create your own future. You reinvest back into your own business, and then you pay taxes on what's left. Because that structure is flipped upside down a bit, it gives you more power and you more control for your future, right? And this time, right now, this is the reason that we reached out. We're like, hey, now is the time to help as many people as we can, because October, November, December is business shopping spree season, right? All of you are paying to be a part of the community. Let's make sure to write it off. That's a business related expense. We don't want it to be education where there's limitations and we're trying to make sure it's not an accredited university and everything else. This is a business expense. You can have fun while you're doing it. You can learn from really cool people. But at the end of the day, your goals are much larger and you have the intention to be self-employed. Set it up accordingly. This is a very biased opinion, so brace yourself. I believe everyone in the US should be self-employed to some extent, whether it's a side hustle, a side business, or full-time self-employment. And the reason for that is the tax code is over 70,000 pages. It's a joke. It is ridiculous, right? But a lot of those tax codes benefit investors and entrepreneurs and people that stimulate the economy. So even if you are pre-revenue, you can write off a lot of these expenses as you're building your journey and building your business that will save you thousands of dollars in taxes. Okay, just a quick story for you, and then I'll get through some of the slides here. A couple years ago, not last December, the December before, I was at an event, and a gentleman came up to me and he's like, Tommy, I'm not going to do anything before the end of the year, and my accountant said to not set up an LLC until January. And I said, I will challenge that right now. I'm going to set up an LLC for you for free. I'm going to file your taxes for free, but I'm going to use you as a case study. How does that sound? Okay, cool. This person was making $55,000 a year as a W-2. Okay, they were single, so they only got a standard deduction at the time of about $5,500. We set up an LLC. We wrote off startup expenses, organizational expenses. Because we did that for him, he saved $5,400 on taxes. And at a $55,000 W-2 income, that's a lot of money. That's a big deal. If you compound, everyone wants to make more money, right? You always want to go make $10,000 more for sake of conversation. Why is the conversation not equally balanced on how to save an additional $10,000? I want all of you to go make 10, 20, 100, $1 million more. I want all of that for all of you. But simultaneously, I want you to be able to also compound and save money by keeping it in your corner to make it easier to build and grow wealth. And in the 12 years we've been doing this, I credit a lot of our ability to grow this business into a 9-figure-a-year business strictly by focusing on what it is that we preach. And if we can help you do the same thing from the early stages of your business, I have no doubt in my mind it'll be easier to compound wealth long term. Okay. So number one, let's talk about entities, LLCs, corporations. What's best for you and why? YouTube University will make your head spin with how many different ideologies and thoughts there are and how you should structure. The reality is it's not one size fits all, right? There's pros and cons, and people's situations are different. Number two, what is a tax deduction? How in the world does it work? And what could you qualify for if you're just getting started? Number three, asset protection and generational wealth. It's not about where you are right now. It's where you're going to be in 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, and beyond. Let's create that blueprint. I'll use myself as the example. If I didn't have Google Maps or Waze, I'd probably just be driving in circles around my neighborhood, right? Knowing where you're going makes it a whole lot easier to get there. And if you have that blueprint earlier than later, it's a whole lot easier to see what that future is going to look like. Number four, personal credit versus business credit. How you can build a separate credit profile from your business, no matter where you are in your business, that allows you to use business credit, let the business pay for itself, and then pay yourself from there. Okay? Help me out in the chat for me real quick. Based off where you are in your business, 1, 2, 3, or 4, what gives you the most value? What would be your biggest takeaway from today? What do you feel like would impact you the greatest? 1, 2, 3, or 4 based off of these takeaways, just so I have an idea of where I should spend a little bit more time or go into greater detail. Jack, I know you're 3. Sunny, I love it. 3, that's good. Need all of them. All right. 3, 3, 4. Okay, cool. This is great. This is awesome. Asset protection, generational wealth. I'll go over that. We've got a really, really cool estate plan process that I'll explain a little bit more as well. All right, everyone's favorite part. What you came for, right? Wah, 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 wah. Hey, here's a fun, really fun, useless fact for you. Did you know that if you read every legal disclaimer that was presented before you over the course of a year, it would actually take you a year to read it? That kind of scary. So here's another one for you. 2 things on the legal disclaimer. First of all, everyone's situation is different. Some of you are married, some of you have kids, some of you have multiple businesses. That changes your overall tax picture. The other side, I'm not a CPA or an attorney. I'm an investor. I'm an entrepreneur. I currently have ownership in 10 different companies. I own 78 doors of real estate. I've got a full team of CPAs and attorneys that work here, obviously, and they do all the work. But I get the fun part to come talk to you as an investor and as an entrepreneur. And the reason that I do that, first of all, I love it. So you're stuck with me. Sorry about it. But the second reason is if you go ask an entrepreneurial based question to an attorney, they are oftentimes going to lean towards protecting your assets, which they should. That's what they're there for, right? If you ask the accountant the same question, it oftentimes is the path of least resistance to file your tax return. And it could vary the answer to where it can become confusing. I share that with you because the truth is oftentimes somewhere in the middle for business owners and entrepreneurs. One of my favorite pieces of growing and building this company is I get to take questions that I get asked that I don't know the answers to, and I get our head CPA and I get our head attorney, and I force them to find common ground. Because asset protection is important. It's a sue happy world that we're living in. But saving money in tax is what I'm ultimately really, really passionate about, because that's what allows you to compound wealth. If you save $5,000 a year, year after year, more money, more problems, but you compound that into the only reason I own real estate is so that I can buy properties, accelerate the depreciation, and save tens of thousands of dollars of taxes at a time while creating cash flow. And unless you know what your profit and loss is, unless you know how much it's going to save you when you put a dollar out on the table, it's really hard to make educated decisions that feel like you're making the right decisions, right? A couple years ago, I had a really, really good buddy that said, hey, it's like December 30th. Tommy, I know you're always looking for deductions. Give me $100 grand. I'll give you 33% of our fourplex over here. I'll accelerate the depreciation. Okay, cool. Sounds good. No due diligence. Stupid move on my part. It's been 2-3 years. I haven't seen a dollar back from that investment. Now, I'm not happy about it. It's not great, but it saved me $50,000, $60,000 in taxes. And I know that going into that decision. So I can be upset about it. I can give my buddy shit every time I see him. But I'd probably be a lot more upset about that decision if I didn't understand what the dollar out as opposed to the dollar in really meant. So I think it allows you to make better decisions with your finances, and it allows you to feel a little bit more comfortable with risk, which is a big part of being self-employed, right? So as far as business structure, it sounds like all of you have LLCs or corporations based off the responses here, which I love. Good work. Congratulations. That's what I'm talking about. No one should be informal and sole proprietorship or general partnership. There's no asset protection. There's limited tax benefits. Starting as an LLC is so beautiful because it gives you privacy and protection. It gives you tax benefits to show that you're a startup business owner, even though YouTube tells you there's no tax benefits. There's over 99%, it's like 99.2 of audits are on people. Less than 1% of audits are on businesses. So legitimizing yourself as a business and taking business-related deductions, there is a benefit there clearly. For any of you that are generating income through an LLC, write this down. Please verify that you are taxed as an S-Corp if you're generating active income. Okay, having an LLC that's taxed as an S-Corp allows you to pay yourself a salary or a distribution. It also allows you to avoid half of your self-employment tax, which is Medicare and Social Security. Saves you about 7%. Okay, so I was in Cancun a couple weeks ago, and I said that. I was like, hey, before the end of the year, LLC, lady raises her hand. She was a functional medicine doctor. She goes, Tommy, I only have an LLC. Can I switch it before the end of the year and still get the benefit for the whole year? I was like, yeah, of course, absolutely. We do that all the time. Submit a 2553 form, get the S election. IRS might deny the first one. We need to submit it a second time, and a lot of times they approve it. Another gentleman raises his hand. Tommy, I'm an accountant. You can't do that. I've got the IRS tax code right here. I'm like, you, my friend, are why I've created a successful business. Help your client, for the love of God, sir. You can file exceptions on there that people like you, your accountant, didn't make you aware of how you should properly structure your business, and that you've cost them thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars over the last couple of years. So sometimes it's thinking outside the box and utilizing a little bit more of the tax code than just the bare bones. But keep that in mind. You can get an exception. You can get the S-Corp election, go back to the beginning of the year. And if you made $100 grand, 7,000 back in your pocket, right? If you're not going to take those steps to learn this information and do it, I promise you, my mom said you can't choose your family. You can't choose a business partner that all of us got partnered with, and that's Uncle Sam. And if you don't do it, he's happy to take it. He'll let you pad those pockets, right? All right, now as far as tax deductions are concerned, you've got the LLC or the S-Corp, and the number one, so this year we will file close to 50,000 tax forms. I have our accountants and our CPAs track what some of the biggest differences are in tax savings for each one of our clients. Does anyone have any guesses what the number one reason is why people save more money than others in taxes? I'll give you a hint. It's very simple, and the average is about $9,200. Any guesses? Our clients that do this, tell me in the chat if you got a guess what it is that saves the average business owner $9,200 more than the next. It's so simple. Some of you may be overthinking it even. Do we have any guesses? Jack, are you going to give me a guess? What do you think? I can't remember if I told you this when you're in the office or not. Rent, that's a good one. I like it. Kids is another good one. The number one $9,200 a year tax saver is tracking your expenses. That's it. Why is it the number one? Because it's so uncommon. I don't care if you use QuickBooks, an Excel spreadsheet, one designated credit card that you put all your business-related expenses on. You don't remember what you had for lunch last Tuesday. You're not going to remember if it was business-related a month from now, right? When you track your expenses, you know how much money you've spent on your business. So right now you should be able to pull up that you've made $100,000 and you've invested $50,000 between business expenses and everything else, and you've got a $50,000 profit, just for sake of conversation. Once you know what's left over, you know what your tax liability is going to be. And that's what allows you to say, I'm either going to pay $5,000, $10,000 in taxes, or I can invest into a marketing campaign. I can get professional services. I can hire a coach. I can do something that's genuinely going to benefit my future. My accountant was surprised. I tracked my expenses and only paid $100 in taxes. I saved you $9,200. That's the average that we found. That's amazing. Thank you for that. Checks in the mail, Ro. He's actually on our team. Ro works for Prime Corporate Services. They're a plant. I'm just kidding. They're not, but that was right on cue. It's such a good example. It's such a stupid thing that really makes a big difference. So my challenge to you, what's the takeaway there? My challenge to you is commit to doing what you don't want to do. And if you don't know what your expenses are, if you haven't tracked your expenses, take 2 hours on a Saturday or a Sunday, take 5 hours on a Saturday or Sunday, set aside the time, and there's gain in the pain. Sit down and go through your books and have some traction where you can do that. Lewis, I know that you're a client, it sounds like, as of yesterday. We have trackers and things that you can use as well, right? We'll give all of you the opportunity to have a consultation to speak with us and have a free one-on-one 45-minute to hour consultation, by the way. But we have organizers for these things as well that can also help you. So let's make sure we get those to you as well. But some of you may run into situations where you're like, how do I know if something is a business expense? And the answer is how can you connect it back to your business? The IRS likes ordinary, necessary, helpful, or appropriate. If it's ordinary, necessary, helpful, or appropriate, Lewis is a pro, then they say that can be a deductible expense. So your phone, your internet, your power, portions of your rent or your mortgage for a designated home office, right? James, you're in my screen over here. I'm going to pick on you. That looks like an amazing home office. Now what you get to do is you get to itemize it out, right? You get to say that the flag is a business-related expense. The plant is a business-related expense. I call it an inventory, visual inventory. Take your chair, give it one of these real quick, and see what it is that you put. There we go. Now we're talking. Track all those expenses and make sure those are business-related, right? That was a nice out. He's taking the inventory very serious. He's already doing it. I like this. So tie those directly back to your business. This was Jack's guess, which is a great guess. When I said earlier, more money, more problems, I meant it. The more money you make, the harder it is to save money in taxes. But you also get the opportunity to do some exciting things. Those of you that have kids, I've got 2 little girls. They're beautiful. They look like their mother. Lucky for them. So because they look like their mother, they're models. If they look like me, they wouldn't have qualified. So both of my girls will make $14,500 this year. Okay. I get the deduction as a business owner. They didn't make enough money to file taxes. My 3-year-old was like, Dad, should we put some of this into an IRA? I was like, sure, honey, that sounds like a great idea. It'll compound to be $1 million when you're 25. I like that a lot. Teaching financial literacy is something that I have not only found a serious passion in, but helping future generations, kids specifically. I didn't have this stuff growing up. My mom was a real estate agent. My dad owned a real estate brokerage. They were both self-employed. They got divorced when I was 3. How they stayed together for 3 years, I have no idea. It had to have been miserable for both of them. But they both wanted my sister and I to be self-employed. And for that, I am eternally grateful because it's really opened the doors for me in a lot of different areas. What can your kids do to help you with your business? Clean your office, help you with mailers, social media management. Maybe they're models, right? Whatever that looks like, how can you put them to work, pay them, and it allows you the ability to save money in taxes? It's just under a $30,000 deduction for me that now I get to teach my girls that you have money, but when that money's gone, it's gone. If you want to buy your 85th millionth baby, then go ahead, but you're not going to be able to buy the 86 millionth, right? So it's an opportunity to, I think, teach financial literacy at a high level. Another fun one's the Augusta Rule. Has anyone done the Augusta Rule? Has anyone implemented the Augusta Rule into their tax planning? Once again, hiring your kids, Augusta Rule. We have templates to help you track all this stuff as well. And I'm happy to share the slides. I'm happy to help you with whatever we can to make this easier on you. If there's any golf fans, so the Masters Golf Tournament is in Augusta, Georgia every year. And what this rule says, fortunately for all of us, back in the 1970s, a gentleman that lived in Augusta, Georgia would rent out his house. And one year he got audited for not claiming the income that he made for renting his house. He got it passed through Senate and Congress to get this Section 280A passed. And it is now utilized widely as an amazing business-related deduction. Okay. What this rule says is you can rent your house out up to 14 days a year tax-free. So what does that mean? Doesn't mean you got to go put it on Airbnb and go live in a hotel, right? Here's how I utilize this strategy. On the 5th of every month, my business rents out my house. And I go over minutes, meetings, bookkeeping, monthly goals, quarterly goals, annual goals. If I went and rented out the conference room at the Marriott, no one bats an eye that it's a deductible expense. But if I rent my house from my business, now I have the ability to make it a deductible expense, right? I get the deduction as a business owner, don't have to claim the income on the personal side. So really, really cool strategy. This is one that you obviously need to be making income to be able to execute, but something that we're happy to help you with as well. And an easy way to save thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars in taxes. And I was reading an article through Golf Digest, and this Augusta rule last year, houses were renting for $30,000 a day in Augusta for the Masters Golf Tournament. Isn't that crazy? And it was probably like me renting Jack's house for an additional price to be able to up this number. It's just craziness. So really, really cool things, right? And here's the other thing that I'll tell you about tax planning. It's going to vary based off of your goals. Okay. So that's why so my wife got her real estate license like 3-4 years ago now. And the main reason that we did that is so that we could get real estate professional status to buy properties, depreciate them, and not have a cap of $25,000 on real estate deductions. We can, every year, it looks like I'm running just an absolute terrible real estate business with hundreds of thousands of dollars in losses because of accelerated depreciation. Okay. Once again, YouTube, TikTok, a lot of them will say, write off your vehicles, buy a car over 6,000 pounds. Those are all great strategies, but if you don't need a vehicle and you're just buying it because that's the only information that you're being told, you're not bettering your future. So a lot of these tax codes need to align with your vision and your goal for where you're going to be in 1 year, 3 year, 5 year. Is there a max on price? Yes, that's where a lot of people get caught up. Thank you for asking that. There's a really cool website that I love. It's called peerspace.com. And you can enter in your address. You can look at, it's got to be a reasonable rate to answer your question. So what do houses in your area rent for on a nightly basis through Airbnb or VRBO? The reason I love Peerspace is it breaks it up on the hour. So a lot of times you get a little bit of a higher number, right? An average is usually around 1,500 a day, but peerspace.com, based off of the area that you're in, will give you a good idea. Okay. Where are you located? Our office is in Murray, Utah. You're more than welcome if you're ever here. Greatest snow on earth. Sorry to any of you that are in Colorado, but it's true. Can you please share your contact info? Yes, we'll get a link for you for sure, so that all of you can schedule a call. Wes, do you mind tracking that link down and throwing it in the chat? We'll put a link in there where all of you can schedule an hour consultation for sure. Can this be applied to apartments, and can this be done for a single member LLC? Yes, if profit is being generated. Good question. Weston, thank you. For everyone, I'm going to keep going here so that I have time for questions, but Weston just put that link in there for you. Click it, pick a time that works for you. Please don't miss the call. I still got to pay my advisors, but it's a free hour, 45 minutes to an hour. Well, if you want your entity reviewed, if you need an entity, business credit, tax, we're happy to help. Asset protection, like I said earlier, is important. I'm not going to spend a ton of time here. My attorney can come on the next one if Jack will have him on, and he'll spend 45 minutes scaring you to death about lawsuits and everything else. 76 new lawsuits are filed every minute on average. The reality is, the more successful that you become, the larger the target on your back becomes. And one of my mentors always said, you get the ability to help people set themselves up with the thought in mind of it's not if you get sued, but when you get sued. And that really stuck with me, because asset protection can be very complicated. But at the end of the day, the goal is to remove the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. If you can have a solid foundation and think it's not if I get sued, but when I get sued, you would do things differently if you were in the middle of a lawsuit right now. So how do we look at it that way and make sure that you have the ability to focus on the main thing? And that's generating income, right? Focus on generating income. Because I say the more successful you become, the larger the target on your back is, but I'll use a personal story again real quick. The first lawsuit that I found myself in was the very first investment property I ever purchased. I was 22 years old, trusted the builder, liked him, knew him, friend, tried to charge me $100,000 more than we had agreed on because it took him so long to build the house. And so I had to hire an attorney and put a lien on the house because I own the land. And it was a massive learning experience. And like a lot of very successful entrepreneurs will tell you, it was my fault, right? Have accountability for everything. It was my fault. I didn't go through the contract analysis like I should have. Why? Because I trusted him. And what I'll drive home for you there is some of the nastiest arguments I've ever seen are with business relationships that are with friends and family. Why? Because it's not laid out appropriately, right? I talked to Jack, I talked to these guys about it. You guys are family, you guys are friends. It doesn't mean that having an operating agreement that shows very clearly who's doing what and how profits are being distributed, be on the same page so that everyone's rowing in the same direction. The operating agreement of your LLC is the most important document for that reason. It clarifies the type of business that you're operating, how profits will be distributed, and those are all things we can help with as well. Do you guys do or know a good contact for the new Transparency Act business filing? You can do it yourself at finsend.gov. It's very easy, or we can do it for you. We just created an amazing portal. It's so cool. You go in there and it's a portal that you have a login to, and it'll show all of your business entities, and you go in and you enter the information. And one of the weird things about this Transparency Act is they want a picture of your driver's license or your passport. Our portal will log everything into the system, and it'll email you and say, hey, real quick, Leanne, your driver's license is going to expire in a month. Make sure you go in and get an updated license picture in the portal. So we created an amazing portal. It's $50 an entity if you do it with us. If you want to do it for free, I just put that link in there for you. finsend.gov, BOI, super easy to do as well. Right? Is the portal ISO 9 protected? I don't know. I don't speak Chinese, Jesse. I'm not an IT guy. I'm sure that it is. We got a full team of people doing that stuff. It's got security coming out of its ears. We're about $500,000 into it. So I know if security isn't in there, I got ripped off completely, but it should have everything that it needs for the asset protection. Weston, if you want to go run over and ask Jesse what the protection is, I don't know the answer to that. What it is, so just so everyone knows, January 1st, there's a new Corporate Transparency Act with the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network that came out. If you set up your LLC or your corporation before January 1st, you have to fill out this BOI report by January 1st, 2025. If you set up your entity this year, you have 90 days to do it, right? So going back real quick, Lewis, just setting up an LLC, it sounds like yesterday with us, it's included. We're going to help you with it. We're going to get you access to the portal. You don't have to pay anything extra because you're a client. We'll get you access to that portal and make sure that you have everything you need to check that box from a fulfillment standpoint. All right, personal credit versus business credit. Jesse, we'll get you an answer on security here. That's it. I should know the answer to that, but I have no idea. I couldn't even guess. Never met an entrepreneur in my life that said, I wish I had less money. It's never happened. If anyone's a first on here, Jack will drop his Venmo and you can shoot him some money. It's up to you. But the reason that I've never heard that is because the more funding options that you have, the more lines of credit that you create, the easier it is to take advantage of opportunities that come across your desk. Personal is personal, business is business, right? When you don't need money, it feels like everyone and their mother is sending you a credit card application, right? When you need money, it tends to be a little bit more difficult to come across. So on the personal side, you've got your legal name, you've got a social security number, and you've got a personal FICO credit score. Do the same thing for the business. Let's make sure you have a legitimate business name. Sounds like a lot of you already do. Let's make sure the EIN or employer identification number is in place. Set up a separate business bank account. But let's go build and develop this separate credit profile for the business. It's called a Paydex score. It ranges from 1 to 100. 80 to 85 would be like you having a 750 to an 800 credit score. But if you have good, everyone's got problems. Everyone has problems, right? But I'm sure we can all agree, if you have good personal credit, or if you make money personally, those problems are oftentimes easier to resolve. It's the same thing for your business. Problems are constantly going to be there. And sometimes the solution is money. Build up that credit. Give yourself the ability to have more funding opportunities. Okay, I work with a big group of real estate investors and they do a lot of transactional lending. And a lot of them right now are buying cars with business credit, renting it out on Turo, getting themselves the deduction for the vehicle, making cash flow on the Turo side. It's really, really cool to see. I didn't even think about it. The first person that did it shared it in the group over there, and we got a bunch of people that are doing it now based off business credit. Okay? Really cool story real quick. I'm gonna tell you how we had a client that's turned this into a multi-million dollar business off of great work ethic, a really good idea, and business credit. So about 7 years ago, we had a client that came to us and we set up their LLC. We helped them start building and developing business credit. 3-4 months down the road, they ended up getting a Sprinter van, one of those really cool Sprinter vans like the Amazon delivery trucks. And then they used business credit to remodel the entire Sprinter van into this like badass camper trailer, right? Before they were even done, they got an offer to buy this thing for a $20,000 profit. So they sold it, paid off all the business credit, paid off all the debts, did it again, did it again, did it again, did it again. Ended up on Shark Tank. Got a large investment, and it is a multi-million dollar business to this day. You can search Shark Tank camper van. It's a really cool story. It's just awesome. I got stories for days like that. A vegan food company that used business credit to accelerate their growth. A lot of really cool stories like that. So anyway, build up these credit profiles. Even if you're from the very beginning, the foundation that you are going to build this empire off of should be solid. You'd never build a house on sand. Give yourself that solid foundation to grow and scale and really make it a long-term thing here. So thinking with the end in mind, this is what I was talking about. So this is more asset protection, generational wealth stuff. You don't need all this if you're just getting started or if you have one stream of income currently. But put this stuff on your vision board, put it on your why wall, write this out for what your goals are over the next 5 to 10 years. Okay, if you're going to do some consulting work and help other business owners, separate that, right? We've all heard the saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Everyone's heard that saying. The problem I have with it is no one tells you what eggs to put in what baskets, right? So let's make sure that we identify what your liabilities are, what your risks are. It's going to vary as you grow. But if you're generating active income, my first self-employed gig, I was 18 years old. I drove from Salt Lake to Raleigh, North Carolina, knocked door to door selling pest control. And about I made about $40,000 or so in like 4 months. I thought I was the smartest human in the world at 18. That's all active income. Uncle Sam wanted 10 grand. That money was gone, right? Let's focus on how we can lower the tax liability on your active income. Now you go generate revenue and you're going to go buy a real estate property. That's passive. It's 0 to 20% from a tax rate. So let's separate what your liabilities are. Let's separate what your businesses are. If you have a slip and fall here, I don't want it to affect the active income that's paying the bills, that's doing the work, right? So separate those things out. This is something that we can absolutely help you with and make sure you have dialed in. So depending on where you are, depending on how many businesses you have, when you schedule that call, know that it's for you. Okay, this call is for you. If you're brand new, tell us you're brand new. If you're a seasoned vet, say, Tommy bored me half to death. I need tax help though, and I want to make sure that I'm maximizing on my deductions, or I need to make sure my estate planning is in place. Let's do what you can do to make sure that you're protected, you're maximizing your tax benefits, and now's the time to do it because of it being the fourth quarter, right? It's business shopping spree season. Like I said, make sure that you're not overpaying by making decisions now, because come January 1st, it's too late. In my opinion, the worst thing in the world is a tax refund. I hate tax refunds. Why? Because that just means you gave the IRS too much money throughout the course of the year for no interest. IRS said, oh, thanks so much. We used your money to make more money, but we took $5,000 too much. Here it is back for you, right? People treat it and use it like a savings account. What could you have done with that 5%? You can put it in Coinbase and make 5% on it. You're just giving it over to the IRS. You can put it in USDC and make 5% on Coinbase right now. There's so many opportunities that when you make your money work for you, that's what's going to create more passive income and long-term wealth. All right, let's answer some questions here. I got one that I saw from Ty Jack. Anything that I missed? Anything you want to add? I know we've had some awesome conversations about your stuff, and anything you want to share or add on any of that?
Yeah, guys, I mean, for anybody on the call, I mean, even just the other day, I had an LLC that for an old business of mine that I needed dissolved, and I was able to just text the Prime corporate team and just needed some help with it, and they were able to put me I have no clue how to dissolve an LLC. I don't know how to get that canceled, especially for a state I don't live in anymore. So I was able to just text Tommy's team, and they were able to get me on the right path that I needed to just get that taken care of. And it was honestly like the easiest, straightforward step. But I wouldn't have known that if I wasn't able to work with you guys on that. And so anybody on here that if you guys have any questions in regards to just you just feel unsure about where you're standing as far as business structure or just a tax standpoint, I highly recommend you book the free consultation with these guys. It's all boring, like Tommy said at the beginning. It's the stuff that nobody wants to think about. 100%. I would just get that taken care of so you can go back to focusing on what you need to be focused on, which is making more money. The other thing I would say is I'm sure Tommy can speak this. I can't stress enough, if you are doing this with somebody else, to make sure your operating agreement is squared away, ready to go. If you guys don't have an operating agreement with your business partners right now, or it's not a good one, that you guys actually sat and had the uncomfortable conversations up front, then you're making a bigger mistake and headache for yourself down the road to have those uncomfortable conversations when they're going to be a lot more expensive. But besides that, I mean, I think everything touched in the presentation was phenomenal.
Cool. Thank you for that. Yeah, I'm going to share my screen one more time for you real quick. I'll just give you a quick cheat sheet on what to be aware of for the operating agreement. Feel free to screenshot this real quick or take a picture of it or whatever you want to do. This is a really good starting point of what to be aware of and what to make sure you have in your operating agreement. Owners and ownership percentages, purpose of the business, business rules, regulations, provisions, and how profit are distributed. This is simple, right? We have about a 10-page operating agreement that we can supply you with. It's really easy stuff, and you can fill it out. It's a private document. Make sure it's signed, get it notarized. But I've seen operating agreements that are hundreds of pages. So this is a pretty simplified version in case there's an attorney on here saying this is basic. It is basic, but it's a guideline and it's a starting point, and you can always build and add whatever you want to these operating agreements as well. So Ty had a good question here. What does setting up an LLC require? I'm asking because I do not have a social security number or any credit scores. F1 international student. Is there any options for my case? We work with a lot of international people that have businesses or generate income in the US. And we set up LLCs and corporations for international people and clients all the time. It takes longer. If you don't use your social to get the EIN, we can oftentimes do it with a date of birth. It does take a little bit longer just to make you aware, but I would make sure that you check with your immigration attorney or double check the paperwork that you're able to set up a business. There's some visas that don't allow you to do it, so just verify and make sure. But as long as you've got the go ahead and you're here on a student visa as opposed to a work visa, we can absolutely help you get a business entity in place. That's not a problem at all. Can you help with payroll and W-2 as the owner for an S corporation? We absolutely can. Our tax services are our widest variety in price. And the reason for it is we call it value-based pricing. You only pay for what you need. Our whole goal at Prime Corporate Services is getting people what they need when they need it, right? So if someone's brand new and they need a pretty simple return, they're going to pay for a pretty simple return. as you need payroll, as you have employees, whether we're referring you, and if you want a payroll solution as well, Gusto.com or Gusto. I said Gusto one time, and this lady, it's Gusto, Tommy, whatever it is, I don't care. It's a great payroll it's a great payroll option. It's cheap, it's easy. You can always do something like that as well, just so you have a takeaway and a solution here. But that is something that we can also assist with if need be. So no big deal. Does anyone have any other questions? Anything I can answer? Anything that's top of mind? Go ahead.
I like the presentation a lot. I'm a bookkeeper. I'm an accountant. I do bookkeeping. And I just want to ask you, what do you recommend to someone starting? I started like 4 years ago, but I was not taking it seriously. Today I made a decision and I became your client. So I became an LLC. I guess in 2 weeks I'm getting my documents. But yeah, that's my question. What would you suggest to someone who's starting in this business?
Really good question. I love this. And my answer when I just got started was different. My answer when I just got started is like the traditional, like, work harder, contact more people. What I would say now, 12 years removed from that situation, is surround yourself with like-minded people and collaborate more. What you're doing right now, being on a call with a bunch of like-minded people, is massive, right? And you and I have competing businesses. You're an accountant. You're a bookkeeper. I do accounting and bookkeeping. Collaboration over competition. Tell me what I can do to help you get more clients, and I promise you I will do that. And do that for other people. When you have other bookkeepers, there's so much money out there. The world is so big. There's so many dollars. Give yourself the mindset that the more that you meet like-minded people, whether it be entrepreneurs like people on this call, other accountants or other bookkeepers, you already are a step ahead of the game because you're on a call that's talking about business ownership. A lot of accountants don't do anything to better themselves. They get their EA or they get their accounting degree and they go file tax returns for the next 20 years and just get the renewals every year, right? You're already a step ahead of the game, and give yourself that credit. The other thing I would say is you just set up an LLC. Go set up a business bank account. Start building your business credit. Why? Because if you know how to do it, you can now help your bookkeeping clients understand that if they're doing what you're doing to track your expenses, now it's going to make your life easier and it's going to help them save more money in taxes, and they're going to stay with you for longer. So be a credit to your profession, right? You're no longer Lewis. You are the CEO. You are the president of your company, and you're not faking it until you make it because you have that business entity. You're just playing the part. Show yourself as that representative and keep collaborating, keep communicating with people. Stay in groups like these that have like-minded individuals that think differently than you do. That would be my biggest recommendation.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you. Let's separate your firm from one like Keystone. I love Amanda. I love Keystone. I think they're awesome. We both file taxes. They do a lot of real estate taxes. We do a lot of real estate taxes. We're a bigger company. They're an amazing company. They're good people. What separates us? We do more from a service standpoint. So entities, business credit, and estate plans is something that I don't think Keystone does those things. They might set up some entities, but they're amazing people. I know them well. I like them a lot. They're great people. Back to what I told Lewis, collaboration over competition. I've reached out to them. I recently did a webinar with Amanda for another client, and we both talked. And she was like, go to Prime. I'm like, go to Keystone. So I trust them. I like them. Amanda's a really cool person. We do provide strategic planning, monthly, quarterly, annually, whatever it is that you actually need as well. How do you get business credit started? Great question. DNB.com. You have to have an entity or it doesn't do you any good. DNB.com, get a DUNS number. And the tier 1 accounts are the accounts that no one really wants. The best one right now is Uline. Once you have a DUNS number, you can get a Uline account on a Net30. Go buy your toilet paper from Uline since it's all sold out everywhere, and then pay it back in 14 days. Do it 4 months in a row. It'll start to build up your credit profile. But yeah, you want some of those tier 1 accounts. Cool. James has got one more, and then I got to run. I got another one right at the top of the hour here, so I'll answer this. Make sure you schedule a call if you haven't already. Talk to our advising team. Weston, thank you. Can you help me with an expired LLC and also have tax defense firm for past taxes? Are there things you guys can help me out with? Yes. If it's an expired LLC, it may be cheaper to set up a new one because we give everyone discounts that's a part of this group. But we're happy to look at it, review it with you. We file back taxes and we have audit insurance as well. So, Jack, any closing statements? Thank you for having me, brother. It's good seeing you.
Tommy, thanks. I know you got to run. Thank you to you and Weston for taking the time to come speak with everybody today. Guys, if you just do a quick fire emoji or a quick thank you in the chat for Tommy and the PCS team. And guys, make sure that you book your free consultation. I can't stress this enough. This is some of the most important stuff, especially the Transparency Act stuff as well. It's a brand new thing. Not a lot of business owners know about it. And I know Prime Corporate can help you with that as well. And Tommy, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate you and always love seeing you guys and having you guys on. This is awesome.
Great seeing you, dude. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys. You guys have a great night.